Hi, I'm Crystal from Azalea's Garden. For today's video, we're going to be doing a step-by-step guide for marigolds. While marigolds are really easy to get at big box stores, sometimes you want to either grow a lot of them or you just want to start them from seed every year yourself. Marigolds are actually one of the easiest plants to start from seed, and I really recommend them for a variety of reasons. First though, let's start talking about the types of marigold. There are Mexican, also known as African marigolds. Those are the ones that I think you see the most, that are the most popular. There are French marigolds, Zinnias, I hope I'm saying that right, and pot or English variety of marigolds. I want to say all of them self-seed if you let them, and they're all very easy to grow. All of these varieties range from either 12-inch in height up to 4 feet tall, which is actually really cool. You can get seeds for marigolds virtually anywhere. I'm talking dollar stores, Walmart, Home Depot, and larger online sale companies as well. It just depends on the varieties you're looking for and how much you're willing to spend on these types of plants. So marigolds need at least 6 hours of sunlight, but it can go in full sun all day long and they will love you for it. While they are most commonly used in the fall, they actually love the summer heat and will go practically year-round if you're in a mild climate, much like I'm in. Okay, I have some more information about marigolds to share with you, but let's just start with the seeding portion. So I'm going to be showing you exactly how to start your marigolds, but I definitely encourage you to watch this video up here. It is my seed starting guide, and I give you in-depth information on how to start your own seeds. For seed starting our marigolds, I either prefer a seed starting tray, or you can use a small pot like this or this. I get these at the nursery anytime I buy a new plant. I just keep these. These are from our Zinnia video that I posted a few days ago, and I really recommend some kind of a seed starting mix. It's just a loftier mix, and it's a lot easier for your seeds to grow when they are being grown in small pots or seed trays. I will show you how to plant them directly in the ground if that's what you're looking for, but we'll do this first. So we're gonna pour out. In my case, I just need a little bit because I'm only doing one pot. So I poured out some soil and I'm gonna put in some water just to get the soil started. This is easier when you're planting seeds because it helps not dislodge the seed or have it get lost down somewhere where it's not supposed to be. It makes planting so much easier. Ideally, you don't want your soil to drip wet. You want it to have just about this much moisture. You can go back and forth with it, adding more soil if you want to. For me, this doesn't really worry me, to be honest. So I'm just going to use it as is, as long as it still keeps some kind of a shape. So I'm going to fill my pot. You don't need to fill it all the way to the top. You just need to make sure that it's going to get enough sun or light if you're putting this under a grow light. For me, this is good enough. I'm not worried about it being perfect. I don't need it to be all the way to the top, like I said. Similar with these zinnias, they germinated just fine and they were not planted closest to the top. So today I'm planting these Morse Eskimo marigolds. They look white here, but they're actually a very pale yellow. I believe I got these at Home Depot. The back here gives you a little bit of information, how long it should take to germinate, the depth, the spacing, height. Again, I go over all of this in that seed starting video. I personally do not need to worry about when to start planting because I live in Hawaii, so I can pretty much plant this all year round. But just keep in mind on your growing zone and when you should start planting indoors. For measuring purposes, I just use my thumb. It says a 1/4 inch depth, so halfway, and then half of that would be how much I'm going to plant. And I'm going to do 2 seeds, one close to one edge. Oh, that's a little too much. And one closer to the other edge. These seeds are kind of fun when you look at them. They've got these little tips here, black, little yellow tips on both ends, and they are flat. We're not going to worry about planting up or down. We're just going to place them on their side just like this. And since I already have 3, I'm just going to stick 2 in one. There's 1. There's 2. And then we're just going to cover lightly Lightly pressing, we're not gonna push down. We're not doing anything crazy. We're just gonna make sure that they're properly covered. Now I usually do use vermiculite, but in this case I'm not going to use it. And as you can see, you don't really need it. So for the first 2 days of watering, I'll be using this pump sprayer. You can use a hand sprayer or the mist setting at the end of your watering hose. Just make sure you don't let too much of it push out. Just make sure you get those seeds nice and moist. You don't want to let your soil dry out before your seeds have emerged. Otherwise, you run the risk of not having any seedlings pop up. See, this shows you perfectly. Didn't need all this water, so now we can just dump it out. Once the seedlings emerge, you can just bottom water if you want to, or just do a nice regular top water. Just make sure to avoid pouring any water directly on top of your seedlings. You don't want to ruin the leaves and start introducing any kind of insects or damage. So for direct seeding your marigolds, you will plant it the exact same depth. You don't really have to worry about seed starting mix, just because the soil does not react the exact same way when you're doing in ground or deep beds or any kind of raised beds like I do. The plants I have right now are obviously a different variety. These are actually some pot marigolds that I got at the store that self-seeded themselves accidentally because I had just kind of let the plant die in this raised bed, and so it was a nice fun surprise. So let's talk about pruning and care. So pot marigolds are very different in their shape as opposed to those that you cut. While you can still cut them back and enjoy them inside, they're going to behave a lot differently. The first thing that I do like to do is cut off any growth near the bottom, so any leaves that are touching the bottom, just to avoid any water splashing back, especially because I water everything by hand. I had to cut back this tomato because it was driving me kind of nuts. But as I was saying, I just like to take my time and cut out a little bit just to give it more energy towards the flowers versus the leaves. While they do need their leaves to grow, they don't need as many because then they're just expelling more energy towards growing leaves versus pushing out buds. So we're just gonna help it out here a little bit. You don't need to use pruners. You could just use your hands. They're really easy to break off. Sometimes the scent is a little too strong for me, so that's why I use the pruners. And I try to keep my nails slightly decent. So if you continue to prune them with your hands, you'll get a nice little tinge of green on your fingers. So now we have a little bit more breathing room here, and hopefully that will help all these nice little buds that we're hiding bloom. Beautiful. So now I'm gonna do that with the other 3. So I don't normally prune the leaves off. I like to enjoy them in the garden, not so much for cut flowers, but you can do either or both. I usually just let them do their thing and use them for the benefits that they provide the garden. Marigolds are really good at deterring aphids, squash bugs, cucumber beetles. So to harvest your marigolds for cut flowers, you will need to take it down quite a ways unless you grow the tall varieties. In this case, I would go as close to the base as I can just to get a good stem, and just know that you will most likely be sacrificing other blooms in order to get something that has already bloomed. At this point though, I would just take all of the other leaves off and put them in a cute little vase. For deadheading, it's actually really easy. Some of these broke with our current winds, but you would just pop them off at the head. Boop. Easy to pull, or take it down closer to the base of where it was at and pull it off there. And as you can see, this is ready to have a couple more blooms. I love marigolds because of how simple they are to take care of, and they attract a bunch of pollinators like bees, butterflies, and ladybugs, which are amazing for the garden. All right, you guys, that is it for this video. I think I covered all of the basics for planting your marigolds. I know marigolds aren't usually something that you think about starting from seed, but I really encourage you to do so if they are something that you like or something that you want to try, or if you've never tried planting flowers, especially especially from seed, and it scares you, I encourage you to try marigolds. They're so easy, and there's such a joy in seeing your plants grow, especially flowers, because they're so rewarding. Let me know if you decided to start your marigolds from seed, because I think you won't be disappointed. All right, till next time. Bye.